Several months ago, Animal Crossing released Omnipod Bay, a diabetes-themed island. But what is diabetes, and why is there a whole island dedicated to it in Animal Crossing? In this video, we will take you on a tour of Omnipod Bay and learn about this complex disease. Welcome to Omnipod Bay, a peaceful oasis for anyone living with diabetes or curious to learn more about what it's like to live with diabetes. Diabetes is a chronic health condition that affects the body's ability to handle glucose, our main source of energy. Diabetes is further characterized into two disease types, type 1 and type 2 diabetes. In type 1 diabetes, the body produces virtually no insulin, the hormone that allows us to absorb and utilize glucose, or sugar, that we consume. At the Omnipod campsite, we are reminded that type 1 diabetes is a genetic disease that anyone can have, and one that can be managed and talked about with pride. The average age of diagnosis for type 1 diabetes is around 4 to 6 or 10 to 14 years of age. Since kids or adults living with type 1 diabetes do not make their own insulin, it means they can hardly utilize glucose at all, and have to self-administer insulin to help their body properly consume sugar. Giving yourself insulin shots multiple times a day and calibrating the dosage of insulin based off what and how much you eat is a tricky science to master, and certainly one that has heavy lifestyle implications, especially if you do not like needles. Luckily, that's where the name Omnipod comes in. Omnipod is the name of one company that makes wearable insulin pumps, a new and innovative technology that allows automatic insulin dosage and administration. No more multiple daily needle injections. Insulin pumps like the Omnipod make living with diabetes much more manageable. They are also a huge step in achieving what is called an artificial pancreas. The pancreas is the organ responsible for insulin delivery, among other things. In type 1 diabetes, the pancreas doesn't secrete insulin at all, and in type 2 diabetes, it is resistant to insulin and doesn't respond to it, providing a unique challenge for treatment. An artificial pancreas is, essentially, a system where one device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, is continuously monitoring your blood glucose level, as well as another device, an insulin pump, is responding accordingly and in real time to respond with the appropriate amount of insulin. It's literally an artificial organ, and it is one of the greatest innovations to come in the field of medicine and to the lives of people living with diabetes. At the Omnipod farm, we are reminded that insulin administration is only one part of managing diabetes. The other is lifestyle. Maintaining a healthy and balanced diet is of extreme importance for people living with diabetes. This is where the act of carb counting comes in. Most foods contain carbohydrates, and people with diabetes need to be very good at judging the amount of carbs as well as the amount of food they will be consuming. This way, they know how much insulin to give their body to prepare for the food. This means that people living with diabetes constantly not only have to be mindful of what is on their plate, but also when it will be on their plate, so that they can plan accordingly. The farmers of Omnipod Farm were even kind enough to leave reminders of how many carbs there are in each of the different fruits that are available for picking. Luckily, there are a lot of ways for doctors to see how their patients are doing with their diabetes. At Omnipod Farm, Type 1 Terry gives the fun suggestion to take a swim at the A1C. Hemoglobin A1C is a blood test a doctor can order that measures glycated red blood cells, or the sugar in the blood that naturally collects on the surface of red blood cells. Red blood cells die and refresh about every 3 months, so your A1C almost acts like a 3-month report card to see how well you're doing, on average, with your diabetes. This can give insight into the necessary medication, diet, or other lifestyle adjustments that may be needed. Despite all the methods of monitoring A1C, emergencies may still occur. Diabetes-related emergencies can be characterized into lows and highs. If you take too much insulin, you can have hypoglycemia, or low blood sugar, characterized by fatigue, sweating, irritability, or even passing out. Low blood sugar is very dangerous, which is why you see many people living with diabetes carry around candy with them just in case they need a little extra sugar boost if their blood sugar gets too low. Hyperglycemia, or high blood sugar, is what happens if your diabetes is not properly controlled, like if you are not taking enough insulin. Symptoms of hyperglycemia include dry mouth, increased thirst, headache, and frequent urination. If hyperglycemia persists and blood sugar rises to alarming levels, it can become an emergency situation that must be addressed in the hospital. It's worth noting that prior to the treatment options of today, diabetes was a death sentence. Before 1921, doctors wouldn't expect diabetic patients to live longer than a year or two. This is because untreated diabetes eventually results in incredibly severe symptoms, such as blindness, neuropathy, kidney failure, ulcers, and heart disease. Thankfully, innovations like insulin and the quote-unquote artificial pancreas have made it possible for people to live longer despite having diabetes. And if technology monitoring isn't quite enough for you, hidden on Omnipod Bay is one lesser-known solution. Dogs. That's right, diabetic alert dogs are specially trained to recognize glucose imbalances in your body. For patients with more severe symptoms, these dogs can also carry objects, open and close doors, provide walking support, and retrieve medication at a moment's notice. As adorable as they may be, always ask for permission before petting them. These dogs are working. They're easy to recognize with their colored tags. Lastly, Omnipod Bay gives a subtle nod to organizations such as JDRF, Kyler Care, and Children with Diabetes, which are raising money to fund diabetes research and outreach. The research part may seem obvious. More money, more research, more discoveries, one step closer to a solution or cure. However, outreach and public policy are some of many major public health challenges. Take education, for instance. Families whose diets largely consist of processed or fast foods are often not properly educated on the negative effects of an improper diet and the link between obesity and many chronic health conditions like diabetes. Omnipod Bay is a great example of using new and different methods of education to reach a wider audience. In fact, it's very on theme for this channel. Approach people where they are at and make learning fun. Furthermore, healthy foods are often limited in availability and less cost-effective than their unhealthy counterparts, especially in less advantaged neighborhoods, where the amount of fast food options at liquor stores oversaturate the market, making it far less convenient to eat healthy. Environment also plays a huge role in health. Take Japan, for example. Much like Americans, the Japanese population consists of many people working long hours and having little time to cook. So they too eat out a lot, but it is counterbalanced by healthier options. In addition, most Japanese citizens don't own personal transportation. Thus, walking becomes more commonplace, and they burn off more calories by doing so. Finally, they have a culture of moderation, stressed by the phrase harahachi bu, which is to eat until 80% full. Fun fact, this phrase originated in Okinawa, widely considered to be the healthiest city in the world. So why is there a diabetes-themed island in Animal Crossing? Well, for one, it provides a new way to engage and educate people on the nuances of diabetes and what it looks like to live with diabetes. But it also provides a rich opportunity for representation for people living with diabetes. Check out the streamer The Diabetic Cactus and her reaction during a Let's Play of touring Omnipod Bay for the first time.
Oh, and look, even there's like Omnipods on the... Wow, the attention to detail is incredibly impressive, I must say. Oh my god, I love it. I think that is so creative, for one, smart, two, just like genius, honestly. Like, we should get a tandem one, an in-pen island, a Medtronic island. Yeah. This is so cool. I'm so happy that all my worlds collided.
Normalizing and sharing the perspectives of others allows us to be more sensitive and caring people. And hopefully now, after watching this video, you can appreciate the perspective of the 415 million people living with diabetes across the world. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something along the way. What was most surprising to you? What are your thoughts on Omnipod Bay? Or what other themed islands have you seen in Animal Crossing that stood out to you? Or what more would you like to see? Let us know in the comments below and we'll make sure to respond. We love making these videos for you and talking about everything games and health. If that interests you, consider supporting Digital.Games by liking this video, sharing on social media, and subscribing to the channel. Thanks, and see you next time.